supervisors, immediate supervisors. And then they in turn take it to management, they call in the health and safety officer who will come to the site, inspect the grievance and so forth and so forth. But that system, I believe, is not, well, not believe, I know is not adequate enough, especially in the instance where we had a gas leak, where obviously they should have referred to organizations such as Karyn, where proper testing should have been done, taking of air samples, the proper ventilation, because even up to the Wednesday, I had to still insist that you had areas of the building, especially in the basement, where the gas settled because it's heavier than air, where you're still getting the smell of the gas. I was then at that point in time told the gas has no smell. But on every site that I visited, they refer to it as an ethereal odor, a slight sweet smell. You know, it's just a laissez-faire dookie attitude, and they don't take this matter seriously.
Some of these people, the powers that be, so to say, are they in any of these buildings themselves?
So actually, I am the instance of where the gas leak was at the head office. That same floor houses our executive director, as well as 2 executive managers. And with their safety in being our consideration, I think they should have taken a much more proactive stance and had shown more concern, at least for their own safety, if not the safety of the workers in the building.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because even one of the executive managers admitted to me the following day that she was still smelling the gas, and opened up her windows and got fans for a section of the floor. So then for the health and safety officers, they say it has no smell. Where in each site I went in, there was a description of the gas having a smell. I mean, his information, he brought no. I did research on the internet, which is available to everyone, stating my concerns, saying, well, these are the things that these air companies are saying that the gas causes, and he brought no substantive proof to show otherwise. But yet still insisting, oh, the gas harmless, it have no lasting effect, it have no smell, and he don't agree with the you know, it's so terrible, it's laughable.
Mm-hmm.
He does not agree with my findings, but yet still not bringing any proof to say, well, this is why I don't believe in your findings, because so and so is the case. But just going on the word of 2 technicians from the service, the air conditioning company that provides this service. I mean, as the old saying goes, fishermen don't say they fish rotten.
Correct. Well, Mr. Sedeno, I feel the passion with which you're speaking in terms of some of the appalling work conditions that you all are working and living through, because that's your home away from home, so to say. How many hours a day does one spend at work at the workplace? So then it begs the question, as we were saying off the air a little bit ago, the next question that I feel inclined to ask is, what methods are in place at N.I.B. that one uses or implements to address issues, or to take issues to the forum or to the front line, so to say?
First, we need to look at the whole idea of health and safety within the workplace and legislation outside of the workplace as the national legislation. And we must be aware that this legislation took so many years to get its strength, the strength that it is at, which is the Occupational Health and Safety Act and the amendments. So we are still within that learning period as it relates to how you administer health and safety within the workplace in connection with the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Of course, the employer would have had other arrangements, procedural arrangements, to deal with issues. Now that we have the Health and Safety Act, our employer have tried to add other things within that to improve their internal procedures. So the two still haven't meshed as they should have. of course, we have a health and safety committee, which is required under the Act. So what you find happening, at least what we have observed, though, yes, we have representation on that committee, but that committee doesn't have the effect that it should have in accordance with the Health and Safety Act within the workplace. Thereby, workers now don't feel empowered to actually use the facility put on within the Health and Safety Act as it relates to their health and safety and even their wellness within the workplace. So the effectiveness of that act within the National Insurance Board isn't felt or seen. The actions required by the employer or heard, the actions required by the employer definitely is not in keeping with that act. And it means that this union must ensure that these occurrences no longer happen. We need to work together with the employer to change this whole environment to ensure that our members are treated fairly and that their safety, their health, and their wellness is taken as first priority to them achieving the productivity and all that is expected of them. So the things that are in place, not effective or they're non-existent.
So some of the persons who have been to various positions with various issues, those persons, are they still with the N.I.B? Are they being compensated financially for the out-of-pocket expenses for medical, the time away from work? How is that being addressed?
It is addressed under the normal procedures by most employers, where first you submit your either medical report, your medicals. It first has to be classified as injury on the job, and once it is classified as that, yes, you would get the required remuneration, because remember we have the Workmen's Compensation Act, which will allow for the full pay, the payment of medical bills and whatnot. But when you look at the time span to enjoy that facility, in the meantime, the employee has to bear the burden from their pocket to deal with these issues, which they know for a fact emanated within the workplace. There are a few cases where there would be you would have to really prove that the workplace environment, but there are most of them, you don't have to ask a question. You can relate it off the bat that yes, this happened as a result of the environment in the workplace. So as it relates right now, we're talking about negotiations, we're talking about money. So we are already saying to the employer, we can't afford to even live normally. And now we have this added burden of our health to see about, and yet we have to bear the burden up front, because it has to go through all these procedures before the employer could agree to repay. It's not an ongoing thing where they're going to pay as I said, look, I have an appointment tomorrow. They are not going to give me the money in advance. I may not get that money till a year after. By then, I am sick, out of pocket, unable to work, no remuneration. And when I go to the other aspect of it, where as a worker, I access the injury benefit or employment injury benefit through the national insurance system. Let's not go there, because our payment of that benefit as employees in the past, I must say there has been a little improvement, has been worse than the general public experiences when they come to us as customer service.
Well, Constance, Hercules, and Richard Sileno, you all have really, really articulated some of the grief, so to say, is the word that comes to mind, that the employees are experiencing in N.I.B. I cannot even believe that we're in 2012 and this is happening in 2012. And as stated by Mr. Terence Regis, a $20 billion organization. So, having really, really shared and enlightened the public and the listening and viewing audience about what's happening health-wise, I was wondering if Mr. Terence Regis would feel willing to share a little bit, well, as much as needed, because this is why you're here. You're here to give a voice so that everyone can be aware of what's happening with the N.I.B. And share with us the National Insurance Board negotiations of 28 to 2010, please.
Yeah, indeed, because that is about the most acute, perhaps even more than the health and safety matters, the most acute concern at the moment matter of how we are provided for in return for the services, the valuable services that we provide. But even before getting into that, perhaps to say a couple of words in respect of closure on what you had described in introducing the discussion as the anomalies in administration, what I may describe as matters of internal administration policy. It splits into a number of things that it will include HR policy, and what we will have been discussing in some respects might be considered a feature of HR policy, a matter of the provision of safe and healthy conditions of work, a requirement of law that is not being observed properly. What is evident, well, it may not be evident, but what one can imagine is that if that is the nature of policy in respect of the health and safety, physical well-being of workers at work, it might very well be reflective of other aspects of internal policy. Indeed it is. What is the character of policy as it manifests itself in health and safety matters? That character of policy also manifests itself in other areas, the entire administrative climate in the organization. Time might be permitted as a climate characterized by victimization and victimization for training and activity. Nepotism. These are features of the administrative climate. Questionable recruitment practices, I would say. Indeed, as an instance of this, what I describe as questionable recruitment practice, you have a situation where, I don't know, it must be an extension of the colonial mindset, where in these parts of the world, the ex-colonial world, as though we can do without, we treat as oracles anything that comes through the medium of a pink skin with a Yankee accent. So here it is, this organization over the last few years had actually employed a US national who, and it is all over the internet, is a fugitive from the justice system in the US. Cannot return to the US. But once he steps foot back onto US soil, he's going to be arrested. But
is this an American citizen?
That's right. Right? And this person has been employed with the National Insurance Board up to the end of December 31st of last year. Employed for several years, I think dating back to about 2005 thereabouts with the organization. I mention it because it ain't just past tense. Only recently I was informed or came to learn that a decision was made, he having ended his employment of necessity on attaining age 60 at the end of towards the end of last year. Now that person is going to be re-engaged. I use that expression because I don't know if it would be, I don't think it would be employed in the regular sense, perhaps as a consultant of sorts, but re-engaged by the National Insurance Board. And the point I'm making is that the National Insurance Board management is quite aware of the person's background. As a fugitive.
Is the US aware that he's here?
Well, yes, because if we go onto the internet, and I'm declining to mention it, I don't think he might encourage the mention of the name. You know. But If we go onto the net and we punch in the particular name, we're going to see the US law enforcement agencies as the name and pity and offenses that is wanted in respect of, right? What I'm saying is this. Perhaps at the start it might have been an error of recruitment policy. And still the N.I.B would have, assuming, I'm trying to be charitable, and assuming that it was an error, it doesn't absolve them from the responsibility of doing effective background checks on people. But I know it came to be known to the N.I.B's management what that person's record is. And that is why I choose to highlight it now. That now, even after there is separation on account of attaining age 60, they have chosen to re-engage him. I don't know that he went back to the US and addressed concerns and had himself absolved and so on and so forth. That's sure if we punch in the relevant information, we want to see the law enforcement agencies still have him listed as somebody that they want to.
He's at large.
Yeah, right? And that is, when I talk about questionable recruitment practice, right? That is an instance of it, right?
How long did the individual work for the N.I.B?
An approximate 5-6 years, yes.
And so the US government is aware that he is here?
I don't know that they are aware that he is here. I don't know that. I can't say yes or no to that. Right? I can say that I'm aware of that on the sites of the law enforcement agencies in the US, his name figures prominently. Right? I'm aware that he's unable to travel as is necessary on the part of functionaries of the N.I.B. To discharge duties internationally. He's unable to do that. Right? I'm sure he's unable to go to the US. Right? But I say that to call attention to the thread that runs through administrative policy in the National Insurance Board. We started off a while ago and we dwelt at length on matters of health and safety. And I want to suggest that that is not to be understood in isolation, right, to other things. I just mentioned, without going into detail, problems of victimization. Victimization in itself and for trade union activities, nepotism in terms as a almost to the point of policy, as they call it, and they describe it as governing the process of upward mobility in the organization. So that it's a constellation of evils that we're talking about when we talk about administrative policy in the National Insurance Board. That is the picture I am trying to present, right? Before coming to the question that you asked about negotiations, then you should not be surprised that there will also be a tale of woe when we come to describe our experience in the organization in respect of negotiations. $21 billion of assets, let me repeat, right? And here it is for almost a year. We have been engaged in negotiations with the National Insurance Board to update the terms of our collective agreement, terms and conditions of employment, salaries in particular, always the main item. And the formal reality that continues to face us after nearly a year of negotiations is an offer of 5% as a salary increase in respect of the period 2008, the contract period, 2008 to 2010. So the reality is that we currently exist on 2007 salaries, right? That in itself is intolerable. But what makes it more unbearable in the context of an organization of $21 billion of assets, we are talking about an organization on the brink of receivership. We are talking about an organization that dependent on the Treasury for subventions. We're talking about an organization that was boasted to us recently by the management that has money in every single major enterprise in the country. In the course of a meeting, a negotiation meeting, that was said boastfully to us. So we're talking about an organization that has money in organizations from the banks to the major conglomerates and so forth. Right? I'm going to be a little bit more concrete. Let me remind you and listeners that it was only a couple months ago, arising out of the proceedings of the Commission of Inquiry into problems at CL Financial and HCU, that revelations were made that the National Insurance Board sank $675 million. $675 million of the contributions of the working insured public into the ailing CL Financial. Very much of it went into CL Financial after it became known, not all of it, but very much of it, after it became known that CL Financial was in the difficulties that it had been experiencing. So I cite that as a concrete example, and we have, some definite information about income flows, about financial flows from the N.I.B. to CL Financial because it's necessarily in the news, right? If some other major corporation or bank runs into problems and there's a commission of inquiry, I'm sure there will be a whole lot of revealing information about its financial relationship with the National Insurance Board, right? Citing that, I want to stress this is the context of our negotiations, this is the background to the experience, unbearable experience we have with a 5% offer. Working for such an organization that is able to be the benefactor of the corporate world otherwise in Trinidad and Tobago. I say that, why I'm saying that, benefactor, I use that word deliberately, because you would have also seen coming out of the Commission of Inquiry that there was something of an orgy of financial compensation or has been an orgy of financial compensation at CL Financial. 6-digit monthly salaries, we would recall, coming out of the proceedings of the Commission of Inquiry. People being paid $1 million bonuses, quite apart. Oh yes, forgetting $5 million checks in the drawer. I suggested that these things were necessarily underwritten by financing from the National Insurance Board. And I repeat the figure that came, this is in the public domain, this is me talking out of my hat, $675 million, right? Yeah. So, to say one more thing about context, where the National Insurance Board is insistent, and it's not just the board, there's something I have to turn attention to as I proceed. But where there's this insistent, stubborn and determined 5% offer, at another level, at the level of the executive management, there's active discussion with the board of directors about increasing their compensation levels, take the time, by 100%. May I repeat? There's active discussion, and somebody was telling me recently, but I've been able to verify it, that's actually gone beyond consideration to the point of decision, right? To increase their compensation levels by 100%. You may not recall, it was about 2 months ago, or 3 actually, that there was this Guardian report, Triad Guardian News report, was authored by Gail Alexander. A report on an interview that she had conducted with the Deputy Chairman of the National Insurance Board, where it was reported that considerations of raising the executive director salary to $95,000 was taking place. My information is that
$95,000 a month.
I want to repeat. $95,000 per month, right? My information is that the salary attached to that post is in the vicinity currently of 45. Somewhere around there, right? So we could just roughly say that if we're talking in the vicinity of $95,000, we're talking about a 100% increase. Balance that against an offer that has been stubborn for almost a year, a formal offer of 5%, workers had to be outraged. And you would have seen manifestations of that outrage over the last several months in the form of pickets and so on and so forth, right? That is what our experience is right now as we seek to be compensated for the labor services that we provide under the horrific conditions that were described a while earlier in terms of health and safety programs. So it's not a matter of simply providing valuable services to an institution that has an indispensable function in the society, but providing it under some of the most brutal physical conditions as well. And now this is the experience that we have, right? I thought I would say those few words by way of introduction.
So, Regis, I'm going to have to interject for a minute because I understand that some of our viewers and listeners are not hearing us. I'm listening here at the station to PSA radio, and I'm hearing our conversation. But for some reason, the listeners out there are not hearing us. So I'm going to take a short break and see if we could correct this issue and come right back. So keep your thought. Remember where you're at right now. You're tuning to PSA radio at radio.psatt.org. We're going to take a short break and we will be right back. Stay tuned.
No, I don't know if they not following the steps properly to get it. That's why I asked if you could write.
Yes. What they probably need to do is to reboot. And you do that by either coming out of the page and going back in, or going up to where the name of the page is, PSA Radio URL, and actually clicking on it and hitting F5. And F5 helps to reboot, because that's why I keep checking. You'll see me from time to time. I'm always checking here, and I'm checking here because I want to hear if we are still live on the air. And what I'm hearing here is actually from the website, radio.psatt.org.
Right. Not yourself.
Right, it's not myself. To hear myself, I'll have to go here.
Okay.
To this.
Yes, you all got it? Oh, you will have that, so. Well, let me put you on to all right, I'll put you on to the lady and she'll give you directions as exactly how to get onto it properly.
Good, yeah?
Hold on.
Yes.
Hello, who am I speaking with?
Yes.
Sophia.
Good afternoon. This is Karyn Rudd at PSA Radio. So I'm not really sure what's happening because from our end, I'm hearing us just fine. So what you may need to do is to reboot, and you can do that by either coming out of the page and going back in, or you can go up to the URL, the name of the website, put the mouse over, just click on it to highlight it, and then press F5 to reboot it.
I know I've just found out about that.
You want to do it whilst you're on the phone with me, or?
I'm going to have to be brief with you, right? Because let's take a break from our radio program that we are on PSA Radio, right? But
she said she'll do it.
I don't know, Gail, what we're going to do about that. When you
So you go type in radio.psatt.org.
Click on listen now.
Some failure on the part of the executive,
so then we'll start to hear, and then they can go to Ustream.tv.
Would that type of thing, or something comes up on the screen?
Ustream.tv is a separate page. It's a separate website. Ustream. Ustream is where you can see anything live on your part of the world. Right? So they can go to Ustream.tv and separate page or a different website. And simply type in PSA radio in the search bar. Click on the very first picture on the left-hand side.
I mean, right now, outraged
that way you can see us live. So it's two separate pages. That's being worked on so that you can just go to the website and not have to go through those steps. So that's in the process of being changed.
From the section. Oh, I think you got another one. Yeah.
Yeah, when you go into radio.psatt.org, you click on the purple button, listen now. Right? Then the radio is supposed to come up. Then you go on a separate page, you go to ustream.tv, you type in PSA
radio in the search bar.
PSA radio in the search bar. Right? And when that comes up, you'll see the first picture on the top left hand side. You click on that and you'll just see us live as well. Right, so it's a separate page. They're not in the page of we're using the radio psatt.org. Yeah, click on this now.